Hello and welcome to Report with Noah. This is your trusted place for the latest pension updates, social security news, and important changes that affect seniors every week. My goal is simple: to keep you informed, prepared, and confident about your benefits. So make sure to subscribe. And let's get started with today's update. Many older Australians have been waiting for some real relief, and finally, there is an official update worth paying attention to. The government has confirmed that a $400 cost of living payment has been approved for pensioners, and this will roll out starting in August 2025. Now, you may be wondering, who exactly qualifies for this payment? When will it hit bank accounts? And is this a one-off measure, or does it point to bigger changes in the way Centrelink and the age pension will be handled moving forward? These are the questions thousands of seniors are asking right now, and today we're going to break it all down in clear and simple terms. The truth is, the cost of living in Australia has been hitting retirees harder than ever. Groceries, fuel, rent, and even the smallest daily expenses have all jumped in price over the past year, leaving many older Australians struggling to stretch their fortnightly pension payment far enough. This new $400 payment is being framed by the government as a targeted response to help ease that pressure. But as with every policy, the details matter. Not every pensioner will automatically receive it, and the timing of deposits depends on your personal payment schedule. In this video, we'll not only explain how this $400 payment works, but also look at how it connects to broader age pension updates, including possible future increases, eligibility changes, and what it means for income and asset tests. By the end, you'll have a clear picture of whether this extra support applies to you, when you can expect to see it, and what to watch for in upcoming government announcements. So if you're tired of half answers and confusing news reports, stay with me. We're going to unpack the facts, clear up the rumors, and give you the straightforward information every Australian pensioner deserves. Now, let's begin with the most pressing question on every pensioner's mind. Who exactly will get this $400 cost of living payment, and when can you expect it to arrive? According to the official update from the government, this payment is specifically designed for those already receiving the age pension through Centrelink. That means if you are currently drawing the pension, whether as a single person or as part of a couple, you are already in the pool of eligible Australians who should expect this additional support. What makes it important, though, is not just the amount, but the timing. The $400 will not be arriving as part of your normal fortnightly pension deposit. Instead, it is going to be issued as a separate, one-off lump sum, showing up in your nominated bank account beginning in August 2025. For many retirees who live pay to pay, the arrival of a lump sum can feel like a small lifeline, money you can use to catch up on bills, cover a winter power bill, stock the pantry. But as always, the devil is in the details. While most age pension recipients are included, there are situations where people may feel uncertain. For example, if you are receiving a part pension because you have other income or assets, you may be wondering if this still applies to you. The short answer is yes. Both full and part pensioners are within scope. This is important because many Australians rely on a part pension to top up their modest superannuation or savings, and leaving them out would only worsen inequality. The government has been keen to stress that this payment is not about creating divisions between different categories of pensioners, but about recognizing the shared reality of higher living costs across the board. Of course, whenever a payment like this is announced, one of the first things people worry about is whether it will affect their other entitlements. Will receiving the $400 mean your pension is recalculated? Will it impact your income or asset test, or affect your eligibility for concession cards? The clear answer here is no. This cost of living payment is classified as a one-off support measure and will not be counted as income for the purpose of means testing. That means your pension, your rent assistance, your energy supplements, and other benefits remain unchanged. You will not have to pay this back, nor will it be clawed back through adjustments. It is, quite simply, an extra payment designed to put money in the pockets of seniors at a time when it is sorely needed. Now, let's talk about why this payment was introduced now, and why August 2025 has become such a critical moment. Over the past 2 years, Australia has been navigating stubborn inflation. While inflation rates have cooled slightly from their peak, the cost of essentials remains painfully high. Seniors, in particular, are more exposed because many rely almost entirely on fixed incomes. Unlike younger Australians who may have wages that adjust with the job market, retirees don't have the flexibility of simply working extra hours to cover rising prices. The government knows this, and part of the reason for approving the $400 payment now is to offer relief while broader economic adjustments, like changes to the age pension rates through indexation, catch up later in the year. In fact, the next big pension indexation is due in September, and this $400 is widely seen as a bridge to help pensioners make it through to that adjustment. This brings us to another crucial question. Is this a one-off payment, or could it signal a shift towards more regular support for pensioners? While the official language from the government is careful to frame this as a one-time cost of living payment, history tells us that once measures like this are introduced, they often return in some form if conditions demand it. Remember back in the pandemic, when support payments first started rolling out, they were described as temporary, but the government ended up issuing multiple rounds. In the same way, if inflation remains sticky or if the September pension indexation does not go far enough, there is every chance we could see similar payments announced again in 2026. It's also worth mentioning how this interacts with other benefits. For example, if you are on a Commonwealth Seniors Health Card, if you receive the Disability Support Pension, or if you are a carer receiving the carer payment, there are overlaps in eligibility. The government has indicated that some of these groups will also receive the $400 payment, not just age pensioners. This is significant because many carers and disability pensioners face the same struggles with high costs. But the exact rollout schedule for those groups may differ slightly from age pension recipients. That's why it's important to keep an eye on Centrelink updates, as payment dates can vary depending on which support you receive. When we talk about the impact of this $400, it's not just about the cash itself, it's about what it means for financial confidence. For many older Australians, every announcement from the government feels like a test of whether they are being heard or overlooked. Too often, pensioners feel like after working and paying taxes their whole lives, they are treated as a burden rather than valued contributors. The symbolism of this payment matters. It is the government's way of saying, "We see you, we know you're struggling, and we are taking action." Of course, some critics argue that $400 is too little compared to the real increases in cost of living, and they are not wrong. But for many, $400 represents breathing space, a buffer against unexpected costs, and the reassurance that they are not being forgotten. Now, let's dig a little deeper into how payments like this get funded and what it means for the broader pension system. Government support payments are not free money. They are funded through the federal budget, which is shaped by tax revenue and economic conditions. In 2025, the government has been under pressure to balance competing priorities, supporting households, reducing inflation, and keeping the budget in check. Some argue that throwing extra payments into the economy risks fueling inflation further. But the counter-argument is that targeted payments to vulnerable groups, like pensioners, do not have the same inflationary effect as broad-based handouts. Pensioners are not out buying luxury goods with these funds. They are covering rent, utilities, and groceries. In other words, the $400 is not likely to spark new inflation, but rather to keep seniors afloat in a system that is already stretched. Looking forward, one of the key things pensioners should keep an eye on is the September 2025 pension indexation. Twice a year, in March and September, age pension rates are adjusted based on either the Consumer Price Index, the Pensioner and Beneficiary Living Cost Index, or male total average weekly earnings, whichever provides the higher increase. This system is designed to ensure that pension payments keep up with the cost of living, at least in theory. But the reality is that the formula often lags behind real price pressures. That's why governments sometimes step in with top-up measures like this $400 payment. It's a recognition that the regular system doesn't always respond fast enough to protect people who are most exposed. Another area of change pensioners should watch is the ongoing review of income and asset limits. There has been increasing political pressure to raise the thresholds so that more Australians qualify for the pension or receive a larger part pension. In fact, there have been signals from Treasury that adjustments may be on the table later this year. If those changes go ahead, it could mean that people who are currently excluded from the pension might soon become eligible, or those on a lower rate might see their payments increase. When combined with temporary boosts like the $400 payment, these structural changes could provide longer-term stability for retirees. Let's not forget the role of superannuation in all of this. For many Australians who retired with modest super balances, the pension remains the bedrock of financial security. But with rising life expectancy and volatile markets, many are watching their super balances deplete faster than expected. The Age Pension acts as a safety net, but payments like the $400 Boost act as an additional layer of reassurance that retirees will not be left entirely at the mercy of market swings. The government is well aware that the sustainability of the pension system depends on balancing super, savings, and public payments in a way that keeps people out of poverty. This $400 announcement, while small in scale, is part of a bigger picture about how Australia supports its aging population. Of course, whenever we talk about government support, there is always political debate. Opposition parties may criticize the payment as a vote-buying exercise, while others argue it is too little, too late. Some commentators have even suggested that rather than issuing one-off payments, the government should focus on permanently increasing the base pension rate. That's an argument worth considering because if the pension base was higher to begin with, these emergency payments might not be necessary. However, in the real world of politics, one-off payments are often easier to push through because they don't lock the government into ongoing spending commitments. For pensioners, though, the politics matter less than the practical outcome. When will the money arrive? And how much relief will it bring? This is why it's so important for seniors to stay informed. Many times, misinformation spreads quickly after announcements like these. Scammers, too, often use news of payments to target vulnerable Australians, pretending to be from Centrelink and asking for personal details. Let me be clear, you do not need to apply for this $400 payment. It will be automatically deposited into the bank account you already use for your pension. You should never provide your banking details to anyone claiming to help you access this payment. Centrelink already has the information it needs, and payments will flow without any extra steps from your side. At this stage, the government has confirmed the rollout will begin in August 2025, but not everyone will receive it on the same day. Because pension payments are staggered depending on your cycle, the $400 may arrive for some in the first week of August and for others later in the month. The key is to watch for a separate deposit labeled as a cost of living payment. If you are still waiting by the end of the month, that's the time to contact Centrelink directly. But until then, patience is needed as the system processes millions of payments across the country.